Hi, my name is Anna from stardustinfinite.wordpress.com. That's my website. I know Joshua, and I've known Joshua for about, I would say, more than a year and a half about. I wanted to make this to kind of help describe my experience um, from knowing Joshua and speaking with him, and to now being friends with him. And it's something that I think is important just because Joshua has played a big role in my journey and what I've been through. So when I met him it was last fall, I was in a place in my life where I was in college, I was about to graduate, and I sensed that a big shift and a big change in my life was coming, and I didn't really know what it was, and I wouldn't find out a lot about it for a long period of time. But basically, I was experiencing the beginnings of integrating new energies, integrating higher energies, and I actually ended up having a big shift in my life that is known as a walk-in or soul exchange. This is separate from Joshua, but I'm just including it just so you understand kind of how far I've had to come and how much I've had to grow in order to kind of embody what I do and who I am now. And so basically, but meeting Joshua at that time and where I was at, I liked him, and I knew that he had a lot to offer to the world. It was a little bit intimidating to me because it was so bright, and I just sensed so much coming from him that I couldn't really be around him for very long. And after I was around him, I had to take time to really integrate what was coming up for me. So what made sense to me at the time was just that Josh was a bright light, and that also that I didn't understand him or kind of what he was about or where he was coming from, but I liked it, and I really wanted to kind of see more. But in order to see more, I really had to take the time to see what was coming up for me. And so what Josh's energy does, and I kind of wanted to explain this just because it's been a theme in my life that I've kind of had to come to understand, because Josh and I made several contracts to meet up with each other and to work together. And so we made these contracts, and he has been one of many people who has helped me to not only heal the previous soul for the new aspect to come in, but one of the people who has triggered a great deal for me in terms of healing. What I experienced from Joshua was inspiration, and also I would get calls from him, or I'm sensitive to voice, and now I work tons with frequency and voice and light and sound. But what I first experienced from Joshua from the voice recordings is I realized that I would have to listen. I would love to receive them. I would listen to them, and it was very much a hope of inspiration and joy to me in a very dark time. I felt like I was dying, and I was in a sense. But it was something that I had to integrate because it was so bright and so much that I really didn't know how to be around it for too long. So I would have to take a day or so to kind of like integrate it and then come back to it. And it's odd remembering this now because now I hang out with him, like we've been hanging out this afternoon, just like laughing and him showing me pictures, and we got ice cream and talking about our visions and dreams and what we want to create in the world and what we're doing in the world and how excited we are about it. And I didn't feel this good in that space, and I wasn't really that person in that time. And so for us to now be creating more as partners and for it to inspire each other and in the ways in which he's inspired me, we're talking about that and reflecting on that. I wanted to talk to you about it because I just want you to know that knowing Josh, it can be cataclysmic and it can be intense, but it is also it's for you because the universe loves you and because he said that he would do this for people. And it's kind of hard hearing it from him. When I would hear it from him for a long time, when I would see his posts, I'm going to be totally honest, I didn't really believe him just because I didn't really understand what was happening. I knew that I needed something, and I knew I needed some sort of transformation. And it did come from a number of sources, not just Josh, the triggering and the impact and the soul, like the connections. But what came from Josh is a special sort of triggering that I think a lot of people have a hard time with, and understandably so. So I'll tell you kind of what happens when you're around Josh. So Josh, he refers to himself as a violet flame, which I would agree with. And now that I'm more sensitive to energy, and like I said, I channel light and sound, and I read soul signatures, and I help people to connect with their soul signature to embody the life of their dreams, their best life. Mine happens to be sparkle. And so I help people to access that. And now that I sit next to him and I have these new gifts and I have all of these gifts that came out in this discernment, I can feel what he's saying about the violet flame and how it The violet flame it's like a masculine flame that really burns up everything around it that is I don't want to say harmful, but is no longer serving people and that can be harmful. So the violet flame is not going to allow anything to exist around it or for the people around it that is not useful anymore to that person, or that doesn't support that person's highest growth and development, and that person's, most importantly, that person's highest happiness and well-being and joy. So if you feel like you're dying around Joshua, it's okay. I definitely died, but it was a larger part of my growth and my evolution, and it didn't have everything to do with him. It had everything to do with me changing and growing at such a rapid pace to where I needed to shed and heal and heal and heal and heal, and it's like he's pulling. His energy will help to just pull these huge splinters out that you didn't know that you had in your life and in your field and in your heart and in your body. And he's not, it might feel like he's stabbing you. He's not stabbing you. He's helping you to pull that out simply by who he is. That essence wants to pull out those splinters, and it's in love, and it's with like the most loving intention possible. So if you're having a hard time being around Joshua, and I know you're feeling the benefits, it's just it might take a while to feel the benefits. It's okay to take some time to process them, but it's also good to realize that it is beneficial in the long term, in the very long term. So I've known him about a year and a half, like I said, and I realize now that when he was asking me if I channeled a year ago, that was going to be an essential part of my work now and my mission a year later. I didn't really understand it. I honestly didn't really believe him, because I was like, channeling, it creeped me out. And not because he creeped me out, but because it was so foreign and unfamiliar. So sometimes he will give you these messages that are like, they don't make sense at the time, but they'll make sense later. And I've moved into my channeling work and into my work with what I do now, with a lot of transformation and a lot of healing that needed to happen, but with so much more ease and like social ease and so much life ease and work ease and career ease that I didn't even think it was possible. So that magic in life is possible, but it's hard. It was hard for me, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but it was hard for me coming from a place, being my placeholder soul, and that's complicated, but coming from a place when I was in that space where I did not think magic was possible, because every day was a lot of pain and a lot of suffering and a lot of realizing that I'd hurt myself a lot, and I engaged in harmful situations because I didn't know what I was doing. And it was all divinely planned and orchestrated. But if the pain you're experiencing is very painful, just know that the gifts will be very real, and that Joshua is trying to help you. And I trust him, and I wouldn't make this video unless I trust him and I knew what he was capable of and what he does for people. But he is here to really help those of us that are, some people would call it the first wave. I like to think of it as those who are leading the transformation. Well, he's leading the leaders of the transformation that's happening on Earth. And so if you're feeling attracted to working with him, or attracted to what he offers, or what he's telling you, or what he's trying to connect you to, it's because you have some really cool, really important gifts that are needing to come out. I mean, I can't imagine my life now without, with Joshua, or Joshua came in at certain points, but I can't imagine, regardless of Joshua, I can't imagine my life now not having those gifts, not accessing those gifts, and not giving those gifts. Those gifts are my life, my whole reason for being. So I'm just saying he's there to help draw out your very reason for being, and your very reason for being here. And I'm gonna cry. It's because it's not easy, especially if you're especially if you know you're not from here, especially if you know that this is not home. You're here because you're here to help, and because you have so much to give, and it's so much fun, and it's so beautiful. And when you tap into your zone and what's fun for you, and like I talk about a lot on my website and on my blog and everything about living your dreams and living what's true to you and what's fun for you, well, he's going to help you find that, and that's what his job is, like his literal job that he signed up for, that he wanted to do. He wanted to do that for everybody. So if you allow him to work with you, you'll be just one step closer to that, one step closer to that, one step closer to that. And we've had a lot of, I joke, they're like appointment planned encounters, like where I've met up with him, and we've seen each other, like when we met at first, or he sends me a message, or I came down to Sedona and I was like, I feel like I should contact Josh. It's been a while. I want to talk to him. And so those, whatever those are and how those are planned out in your life is going to be unique to you. But those are there for your highest development and for the most fun you can possibly have here on earth, to be totally honest. So I just wanted to say that, and I hope that's helpful to somebody. I'm sure it's helpful to a lot of you to know that it's not just it's not just difficulties, and you probably recognize that if you're working with Josh. You have a lot of courage, because I honestly didn't even like work with him. I would meet him every now and again, and and then I would feel shifts and things changing, and I would communicate with him here and there. But even that really created a lot of transformation with me on my journey. So anyways, I listed my website. My website is stardustinfinite.wordpress.com if you want to see my journey and the way that I progressed in the past year and a half, and also the work that I do and some of the services I do now, because I was able to heal a lot and tap into my new essence and my path. And so I had to walk that path. I had to navigate that path. But I'm saying there were catalysts like Josh on it that really helped to show me myself and what I was capable of. So anyways, that's my website. It's facebook.com/Ahna Stardust Infinite. And my email is stardustinfiniteguidance@gmail.com if you're interested in getting in contact or you want to know more. So have a great day. Thanks.